That's right. It would have been real trippy if I was like not in Queensland.
We are across.
We don't do daylight savings.
No.
Nice.
Hello, good morning.
When you say we're across, you mean we're live? Oh, shit, we're live. Okay.
Hey.
Welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Morning Ritual. Making sure that I'm not muted because I'm always muted at this. Hello, Rowan. How are you this morning? Good to see you. Red White Roleplay. Thank you for gifting that sub, Jamie, to Wasa.
Oh, thank you.
He likes to give subs to guests. You're just in the best mood today.
Oh, who, me?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, you had a good start to the morning from what we saw, so...
Oh, that's his sister.
Yeah.
Harassing him.
I'm sorry, I'm still doing the Discord things. Discord things.
Still posting it to every single Discord? Every single Discord ever.
Yeah, I told you I'm in all of them.
That's fair.
You will
I need
know.
to start organizing them. Like, these are roleplay streams. role play channels. These are.
Well, you know what? If you're a Chicago Bears fan, the Chicago Bears Reddit officially has. We're live right now.
Good to know. Go Bears. We can hear you. We can see you. How's everyone feeling this morning? How's everyone doing? Oh, yeah. I guess it is still morning though. Yeah.
I mean, for some of us.
Some of us.
It's
good time zone to you.
Good time zone. Technically, it's morning. It is past the 12 a.m. here, so it is morning. Oh, pancake.
I think you immediately win for most dedicated guest.
You know, when you first asked and you were like, does anyone want to be on there? I was like, sure, cool, I'll do it. It's in the morning. And then I looked at the time and I was like, I didn't do the math correctly. And I do math for a living. And this is terrible. Just like, I was like, I'm excited. But also I was like, you know what? It's fine. I just need to like ride the wave of caffeine. And then when like, you know, the show ends, that's when the crash happens. So it's all perfectly timed. It was a very like, you know, well-constructed day to just end/start for me, like now, in a way.
Well, thank you for making the accommodation.
I must say that I hate any time that math has a practical use in life, so this scares me. This is like my nightmare scenario.
I just did a Google, like, time zone into this, and then it popped it up. Good morning, Husha Kid. Good morning, TS3141. Good morning, Mr. Puddins.
Morning,
Good morning, Puddins.
Good morning, everyone.
Still reeling from last night. Yeah, that was a good game, Puddins. We were wilding.
On Bloody Portrait last night?
Yes, we were wilding.
Did you find Da Vinci to get yourself a gun hammer?
I did not get a gun hammer, but
I missed this.
You missed this.
I want to know the history of I missed the gun hammer thing, and I was super curious, but I saw it at like sort of the tail end, so I was like, "What is it?" And I was like, "Gun hammer? Like that sounds so cool." And I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna ask later."
Oh, so yeah, I'm gonna ask.
Yeah.
Okay. So. I'm on this show with Lydia, the half-ass hermit, and we just ended season 1. And at the end of season 1, my character loses their weapon. So we met for session 0 for season 2. And in that session 0, Lydia asked, you know, is there anything that we want for our characters? Any kind of like narrative directions that we want to go? Any kind of abilities or classes that we want to start to lean on? And I want a gun hammer. And Lydia was like, well, that doesn't exist. And also no. And I was like, but gun hammer. And then a couple of the other cast members were like, gun hammer. And then Lydia was just like, no. And
kicked you out of the Zoom call?
She kicked me out of the Zoom call. And then she posted on Twitter, like, does anybody know how to dispose of a paladin who's asking for a gun hammer, asking for a friend? And then I responded to that tweet with gun hammer. and then things kind of spiraled out of control because she kept telling me no. So I was just like, I need everybody in the TTRPG community that sees this post
to support this.
To comment Gunhammer and also retweet Gunhammer. And to my surprise, the entire community listened. Let's see. Dan, the creator of Zyhander, made a Gunhammer for Zyhander now. Also, the five folks over at Bolt RPG have created a Gunhammer. Ryan has created a theme song for Gunhammer. And Lydia finally broke down and created a one-page RPG
that we played last night.
Gunhammers. Yes.
Oh my god, amazing.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say talk about this or not. I didn't sign nothing, so I'm just gonna fucking we're actually gonna be playing the Gunhammer one-page RPG with the guy that made Honey Heist.
Oh, Grant Howitt?
That's
Nice.
so
Yeah.
cool.
So like this Gunhammer, like I did it for the people. I still don't get a Gunhammer, but now the world can have a Gunhammer, and that's you know I don't like to use the word hero, but
I'm gonna.
you know
I think you've got to for this particular situation.
I'm a hero.
I think that's beautiful because I only saw because time zones. I only saw the images of gun hammers, and I was like, "That's really cool." I was like, "What is this?" So I think that I got the when it was succeeding in taking over like my Twitter sphere. There's just like pictures of gun hammers, and I was like, "I wonder how that works," and stuff like that.
Exactly.
This is like my nerd brain, which is like.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, you can't hear the word Gunhammer and not think that that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, technically a gun has a hammer in it, right, already. So you just make that big, right? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I've got to let y'all know that I'm scared because Lydia just liked our tweet about Morning Ritual going live. So it's only a matter of time before she shows up in here.
Well, she was here last night because we did actually play her one-page RPG. We play tested it. We play tested it live last night.
What's it called, Anita?
Gunhammer.
No, I'm sorry. You can't say.
Are you going like to, out of curiosity, you know how SVU, like Law and Order, has the dum dum sound that we just spoke about? Is Gunhammer going to have its own thematic like sound?
Oh, there is.
I think this is.
There is a
there's a theme song.
Gunhammer theme. It's about 30 seconds in length that Ryan or the Simulacra made, and we played it every time we went. We changed back into the play scene. So when we started the play session, and then after the break, it was like the sweet sounds of the Gunhammer.
That's beautiful.
Gunhammer.
You know what? It is. I'm on board
Every time we say it now, I'm playing that effect. I don't know if y'all can hear it or not, but I'm doing it.
Can't hear
Gunhammer.
I can't hear it.
I hear it too.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's actually really cool that you're playing that game. That's awesome for you. Oh, it was fun. It was a fun game. It lent itself to some weirdness because we were playing with two
What was a fun game?
Gunhammer. Gunhammer.
How many do you need a Gunhammer count? How many times we can add it into the conversation just casually, like, just randomly saying Gunhammer? Talk about how my day is going and suddenly I think about Gunhammers and, that sort of stuff.
We're gonna... what was the full name of the RPG is... Gunhammer. There's actually a full name for this RPG. I gotta find the actual picture, though. Where are you at? No, don't open it. That's fine, whatever. It's me being defeatist now. Because there goes all my CPU power because...
Did not hear the sound effect.
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, okay. That's strange. Now I'm pissed. Hey Lydia, welcome to Morning Ritual. We're glad to have you.
Apologies if things start going a little wonky. For some reason, Photoshop opened up my computer just now.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be a problem.
God damn it, Photoshop.
This is going to be a problem instead of opening it up and other things. Good morning.
Chance Modified RPG, welcome.
Welcome.
I don't think I've seen you around here before, pal. What are you doing here, brosive? State your claim, buddy.
State your vibe.
State your vibe. Oh gosh.
State your vibe, Chance Modified RPG. We shall judge your vibe accordingly. Oh, it's Alicia. Great.
Alicia's been here the whole time. The full name of the RPG is Be the Gunhammer.
Be the Gunhammer.
Look what you made me do.
Please tell me that the full name of the RPG is Be the Gunhammer. Look what you made me do.
It's look what you made me do. Be the Gunhammer.
Oh no! Get off the cat.
Welcome, Joy. It's good to see you. The Hot Girl Army
No.
has arrived. The Hot Girl Nation.
I hate this.
Hot Girl LLC. Hot Girl Enterprises LLC. Well, you know
Okay,
that I'm head of marketing and communications for Hot Girl LLC.
Anyway, so thank you for joining us, Was. Let's learn a little bit about you.
Yeah, we haven't
That's so
done
good. That's so
introductions
good.
yet.
No,
Yeah,
we just went full
We just went
Gunhammer, and
full
that was it.
Gunhammer.
You never go full Gunhammer. Sometimes you go a little bit Gunhammer, though.
A little bit, really. Yeah, no, I should probably introduce myself. Yeah.
What are you into? What's up?
Yeah. G'day, good morning. Wasa here from the land of Australia. I am pretty new to the tabletop community and the world of tabletop. I freelance write, so I write for TTRPG / I have just started to. So anyone who knows about Sina Una, which is the Filipino mythos TTRPG with Paladin and Seer's Sword and a lot of RPG Southeast Asia. We worked really hard and there was a lot of research on it, on developing that book. And it was like a Filipino mythos book made by Filipinos from America, from the Philippines, from everywhere pretty much. Just trying to create something different. Something that isn't, nondescript Europe or, also nondescript Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia, it's very, very, particularly Filipino. So that's kind of like, my vibes are not pineapples. My vibes are watermelons today. I just saw a post over there. That's really pretty much it. I write things. I write things that are creepy, which I wrote some monsters and I wrote some wild stuff in Sina Una. And I'm part of a couple other projects I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about yet, but writing stuff.
Okay, we have the dreaded NDAs. If I'm not mistaken, however, you're part of a live stream for Sina Una, right?
No. I'm not part of a live stream for Sina Una. I am part of a live stream for. I'm with KP,
Yeah,
so we play. Waverly Summer, which is. We are going to have season 2. I don't believe. No, it's Mackenzie and Paladin who are on Tampa or Tampa. I haven't actually managed to have a look at it because time is very strange, and being in Australia means that I'm mildly limited to viewing things. But yeah.
Jamie just made a Gunhammer command in chat, and chat is using it. They're going a little bit wild with it.
Yeah, okay. I think it was Tampo that I saw that I got confused with. That's a stellar ass cast.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's on my list to watch once I do R&D outside of tabletop stuff, and I decided that I needed to take a holiday of 4 days. And I came back and I was like, what has happened? Everything is wrong. What is going on? Okay. So I spent the last 3 weeks trying to fix 4 days worth of chaos. I was like, how is it that people can make this much trouble and mess in 4 days?
Well, it depends on how many people you're dealing with generally.
Yeah, it was 2 people, and I was like, this is a month's worth of chaos for 2 people. I was like, I commend you for that solid effort. But also now I don't sleep for 2 weeks. But you know what? It's great. It's R&D. But
So
yeah,
yeah, you're also on Waverly Summer '98 over on
I am.
uh, what Make
That's a
Believe channel?
fun one.
Make Believe. Yeah.
Yes, I am
Um,
on that. It is
that one's
amazing.
always
That's a great classes
I
also.
adore that show. I watch that show.
Oh
Yeah,
really? I love all the kids are so pure. I'm just
so
like, oh my
wholesome.
gosh. It's just such a whole I was like, oh, they're so cute. They're such cute
Like,
friends.
oh,
They're such cute friends.
was it Ren playing like the wholesome bro
Corey.
Corey?
Yes. Corey. I
Corey's
love Corey so much.
just like such a
Did you
non-toxic
watch
man.
Yes. It's just like I'm just going to find the good in everyone and just deal with like the good of everyone. It's like don't focus on the bad in like people because I don't know if you saw the last episode.
I haven't got there yet. I saw the second to last episode
Oh,
and
okay.
the couple before that.
Okay, I won't say things, but amazing, amazing. Everyone is just so good.
That's just a great cast, and you all just vibe so well when it comes to like how you interact. It's a cast that has a really good chemistry. Like you can really tell just watching the show that you are genuinely having a good time playing this game.
Yeah, it was really good because that was actually my first ever stream and like foray into this world in a way. So I was like really like, oh my god, how does this work? And like I had never met anyone on that stream. It was one of those like a retweet of someone like, Sarah's looking for people for Waverly or like, the bubblegum shoe game. And I was like, I'm going to try. And then everyone was there. It's like all these people are like, I live on Twitter in a way. Like I know how the Twitter works and I do all these streams and stuff. And I was like, I'm like 8,000-year-olds in like right now. And I don't know how these things work, but I'm going to give it a red hot go. Like, biscuit for the biscuit in a sense.
I like that.
Talk
I like that
about
idea
you.
that you could just. I like those like little moments where you feel bold enough to do something different, or because that's what happened with me last December. Is I saw a posting where it was just like, here's a live stream, like come in and we'll do a one shot together. I'm like,
So
I took
So
every
here's
bit of
my
my
quest-
anxiety for
oh.
that, but I did it. It worked out.
That's so good.
What's
So
your
here's
question?
my question. But I believe that there's always a moment when you know that like the casting you're with clicks. Like it's just like, oh, I don't have to be an HS mess playing this game. What was that moment for you?
Oh my gosh. I think it was like we hadn't played yet, but in our session 0, again I was like super struggling with technology because I was actually muted for like 38%. Like I was only like unmuted for like 38% of the conversation. I was like, I'm talking like this and there's like completely no response. I was like, this is cool, this is great. And then someone's like, I think you're muted. And I was like, I'm an idiot. This is great. And like after that, like everyone was like just super super friendly, and we were just like riffing off like certain ideas and stuff. In the session 0, it just like felt like, oh yeah, no, this is a good group of people. There's nothing, you don't get like a bad read of someone or anything. Like I don't know too much. I don't have too much experience, obviously, in the tabletop community, but I'm not sure how like other session zeros would go, or if it's ever those situations where you're chatting to people in like a session 0 or the first session, and there's that vibe of, oh, I don't think I'm with this person. Yeah. Everyone was pretty good. I think it helps because we kind of had a mix, because I think it was KP's first stream as well. So we had a bit of a mix of people who had done streams before, who knew Bubblegum, and who hadn't done all those sorts of things before. So it was super helpful. And I think it was like outside of character, like we clicked immediately. And then when we first like got the ball rolling, like that first episode was really good. It's so long ago and time is just like baffling at the moment, but yeah, time is super. I'm just like, that was so far away. That was a far away time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super early on. I think it was like three episodes in or something like that. When we were having the pre chats, because we have pre and post chats during the Waverly games. Someone brought up like, I wouldn't be mad if we kept doing this once this was over. Like we'd really enjoy it, and everyone was like, yes. Like even if this didn't become a stream, even if this didn't continue as a stream sort of thing, as like a home game in a sense.
Yeah, even though it's virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it was just virtual and all that sort of stuff. And it's the idea that like, when someone said that, everyone I feel like was like, oh my God, yes, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Oh, those are always magic. Those are always magic moments.
It's so nice because it's kind of like you're a little bit like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I should say it or anything, but like, I was like, I really like this group, guys. We're really great. It feels like we've been playing for longer than, a couple of months. And everyone's like, it really does. And like, yeah, so it's really good that like Waverly is wholesome, like both in game and out of game, I think.
I think that's
and
also
I'm just like,
yeah. That's what KP was saying when he was on the show a couple weeks ago. It's just like the game is just like everyone clicks in and out of game. There's no like you can check in with anybody. You could like make sure that everyone's doing all right. It's super wholesome, and like you can see it on screen. It translates very well that you are all having a very good time. It really does.
Like I always love when you can tell that people are connected to their characters because it makes it so that each decision has much more weight.
Yeah, it does.
You don't want anything to happen to these sweet beans.
Yeah, they're just like little 16-year-old children, and like I was just like, they're babies. They're like wholesome babies.
Or like
and it's just
the
like
sweet date stuff between like you and
Austin. Oh my God,
that
was so hilarious.
It's just like
I was like trying to keep a straight face, and I was like, I really can't do this because I'm really shit at keeping a straight face.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was so. I love Leon so much.
Leon's also like I said, everyone in that cast is, and every character in that show is just like wholesome beans, and you want to make sure that you protect them.
Yeah, there's a fit to everyone. Like everything like sort of just fits in. Like you have everyone working in their own sorts of ways, and it all works out. And there are those moments like, the tension moments, and they're not like, personal tensions. They're like in-game tensions when characters have like mini fights and stuff like that. And like everyone's like, oh no, we have to fix this. This can't happen. We're all friends. We just want to love each other. God damn it.
Yeah, go watch this game, Rowan. It is over on, I'll do a quick shout out to Make Believe. It's
Make Believe.
They changed their name, right? It's now Make Believe RP.
It's Make Believe Info at Twitter.
Oh, I'm talking about the Twitch, so that I can do a proper shout out there. That's okay. I can grab it.
Yeah, I've got the Twitch. It is Make Believe Live.
Perfect. I will throw that in too.
Toss again in chat. Beat you there. Ha.
Or I can just do that.
It was really good.
It really is. I want to ask you another question that I asked KP, which is, how do you feel that you're different from your character, and how do you feel that you're the same as your character?
I'm so different from Basil in so many ways. Like Basil is sort of like what I wish I could do, because Basil is like I'm an like outside like water baby sort of person in Australia, but Basil's just, unlike myself, is like super chill and super into like the outdoors and like things that I would never do. Like I won't surf because I'm scared of irukandji and like jellyfish and like all those sorts of things. And Basil's like, you know what, I'm just gonna swim. And like Basil knows farm things, and I have like a negative 80 in nature. I'm very bad. We went hiking like 3 weeks ago, and I was like, plant. And my friend was like, don't touch that. And I was like, I wasn't going to, but plant is sort of like there's so many things. But yeah, in terms of me and Baz, Baz is very, like, very nature driven, very down to earth, very chill, and very much into like sports and things that I'm not into. I am a super pop culture nerdy inside person that on occasions goes outside and like on occasions likes to do sport because it's like a competitive thing, and my friend is like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna be great, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna be great also, and they're like, I'll race you, and I'm like, why did you make this a competition? But like that's sort of like that's me, and Baz would have like Baz's reaction would be like, cool.
Yeah, I like that.
But
I like the idea that you can use role play to do things that you wouldn't normally do in real life, like or to explore aspects of yourself that you wish you had almost.
I mean, the thing that I love most about that answer is like this is the first time that I think that we've had the opportunity to interview two cast members of the same show, and you know, KP's approach to Arwen is very much he is Arwen, and your approach to Basil is that you're very much not Basil. And I just love how that juxtaposition meshes with party chemistry so well.
Yeah, there's like, there's inherent things like, that are like similar to us. But yeah, I was like, I'm just going to create a character that's very like, chill. Very chill. The chillest of chills, because I'm not the chill.
I mean, on some level, that means you understand what it is to be chill, to even pretend to be chill.
It's sort of just like, it's the chill that I like resonate with and I think about is when I used to work in a foundry, so I was sort of like a nerdy blacksmith, and it was sort of like the be chill whenever like hyper dangerous things happened, and you just had to keep a straight face and gently calmly make sure people remove themselves from the death trap that they have created.
Okay, so we're not gonna pass over that badassness like that. Oh, I just worked as a fucking blacksmith, no big deal. What was that like?
It was fun, but I realized that I was very desensitized to almost dying frequently because of people.
Oh, to safety.
Yeah, so in the foundry, as the thing that I did in uni was mech engineering, and the thing that I sort of specialized in was materials engineering, particularly like metallurgy and creating alloys and stuff like that. So hello. So what happened frequently is sort of like, you look at this thing and it's like, this is magnesium. This is like as pure magnesium as we can currently afford. And, some very clever student would be like, you know what, I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this in very tiny pieces, and I'm going to leave it here in this exposed air in a pile. And you walk in and you're like, what is that? And it's like, oh, that might explode because of the air and the exposure to everything. Or, someone, I don't know if, so the biggest thing was when the foundry caught fire, and that was both a buildings thing and someone was not very great. But basically what happened was, so whenever you work with, again, magnesium, guys, but whenever you work with like a metal that requires a very high temperature to melt it, it's sort of like, say, it's 700 degrees Celsius, and you need to raise it to 800 because it's superheating. When you do that, and you're like, I need to pour this into something, that thing that you're pouring it into also has to be very, very, very hot.
Yeah.
So these people, they were like, I'm going to listen. Yes. So they were like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the crucible, which is like a pin crucible, so it's sort of like, it's like a rod kind of thing. So it's a big block of like iron and like a little rod sort of thing, because you kind of want just like a rod of metal. They're like, I put it into the furnace at 600 degrees. That's fine. But now that it's 600 degrees, I'm going to put it outside in like the super humid Queensland summer weather while I'm still doing my work. So what had happened was it went down to about 40 degrees Celsius, and it's like humid, so there's a bit of water everywhere and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then these people went and essentially were like, oh, you know what? I'm going to just pour it in. And then because of the reaction, because it's so hot and this thing is so cold in comparison, it shot up like a gun, like firing it, and it hit the ceiling. And we found out that the ceiling had soundproof insulation, not fireproof insulation.
Yep.
And then the entire ceiling caught fire, and then we realized that there was electrical components in the ceiling, and it all caught fire, and everyone like escapade. But that's like, like the biggest thing that happened when I was a research assistant.
Research assistant.
I have to tell you that that's badass. I'm very glad that we did not skip over that, and you have been drafted to the Morning Ritual Zombie Survival Team. It's you and Nick so far.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I know how to work with metal, guys, and I know what not to do with metal.
I had flashbacks to my art metal class, the safety process, where it was just like, okay, so if you're using the oxyacetylene torch, you need to make sure that you turn this on first. Then you need to make sure that you turn that on first. And then when you shut it off, you turn this off first. So that way there's not an accelerant. And if you do it wrong, it's gonna blow up. And if it blows up, and the fire catches to the science wing of the school, which is on the other end of the school, that end of the school is going to blow up. So don't blow up the school, kids.
Oh, I'm laughing because
school education is great.
I'm laughing because I'm literally experiencing the international educational systems at work here. We've got Australia dunking on me right now, and then Canada's also dunking on me because I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
I took art metal in grade 11, and then in the 12th grade, I was the teacher's assistant for that class because I'm also a giant nerd. Hi, Fung Fu Fi.
Oh my god. I love how everybody in the TTRPG community has like badass like backstories and like other skills that are just so fucking dope.
I mean, I haven't done that for 15 years.
That's wild.
So I'm a little out of practice when it comes to that, but I can make you a ring.
Yeah, nice. I haven't worked with metals in a very long time. I think the last thing that I worked with was titanium, and I don't like working with titanium at all. But metals are fun. They're exciting. And if you're super safe, it's super great. But sometimes you have to be careful of the people around you because that happens. Or, people play with, again, magnesium. Funnily, magnesium is like a lot of my stories. But like, because it's super bright and blinding, like if you can't look at it when it's like,
when it's sparking.
Doing its thing.
I'm just imagining you looking at a pile of magnesium and the Kill Bill music playing like.
I've had very many conversations, but people like had it because there were stirring rods and like the magnesium stuck onto the stirring rods, and they were like, "It's like a wand," and like you just walk into the lab and you see people just like fencing, but like with wands and stuff, like trying with magnesium. I'm like, you walk in, you see it, you just have to walk outside and just be like,
I'm not going
don't
to
come
report this
inside.
to occupational health and safety.
No, it's like, I'm not going to report them about that. Maybe it's like, them wearing sneakers and shorts in a foundry when they should be wearing jeans and stupid boots. It's okay. I'm just sharing like the little bits and bobs
the
of pain
nightmare
that I
scenario.
sometimes have. Yeah.
I just love
this.
But
that's sort of like where my chill hat. This is like the basil chill is just me thinking about all those things and just being like, okay, how did I react to that? sort of thing. So like now I just feel like if you're ever watching Waverly and you see Basil and Basil's like chill, it's like, oh, it's because Wasa's just thinking about that time she almost got electrocuted by those people.
And you can only get that feature to the show if you check out Morning Ritual.
There's a reason there's a behind the scenes tag on this.
I do have to say, the journey from almost being electrocuted and your hatred of magnesium to like producing TTRPG content, that's
it's a big
I'm
job.
Yeah, there's a little bit of
well, in my head, comedically, it's like, fuck this, I'm gonna write. I can't imagine that's not actually how it went. There's no magnesium in writing.
It's like, guys, I'm going to write my own TTRPG. There will be no magnesium. It will be banned. It is contraband.
In my fantasy world, there is no magnesium. Magnesium doesn't exist. It's just something that continues throughout all your writing. Is there's never magnesium in any form.
What's magnesium? There's no such thing.
Either that or magnesium is the BBEG.
That's right.
Or like
you have to
like
fight
Avatar?
Count Magnesium.
It'd be that, or like in Avatar, like there's no war in Ba Sing Se, but it'd just be like there is no metal called magnesium. And then you just find my horror pile of just magnesium shrapnel in like in a cave somewhere.
It's like the scene with Jet with the lanterns, but it's just burning magnesium.
Yeah, but it's magnesium is the forbidden substance. We must never talk of it again.
I'm sorry, but magnesium is going to be forever tied to you now.
It's okay. It's all good. That's fine.
Except all the magnesium under the lake.
Oh no.
Oh, you fucking nerds. Oh god,
that's
I
rough,
love this.
So
that's rough, buddy. Oh wow.
This did go Avatar real quick. So how do you make that leap then from like metallurgy to writing?
Getting into the TTRPG community, this is like I find it quite strange and slightly funny that I was like, I really love dice. I think that's very pretty. And I rebooted my Twitter of like a million years. And I just started following like dice folk and Searsword, which was I can't remember what their previous monstrous incantations. Mm-hmm. They posted this thing that was like, hey, are there any writers out there that are interested in an upcoming project? And I was like, I know how to write things. I write the things. And because it was sort of like just like a little side hobby sort of thing. Like, some people read, some people like deal with magnesium. Sometimes I write, that sort of stuff. And I like made that post and then they got back to me and like we started talking and I was on the Una team. And from then on, I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. And that's sort of like how I wedged into like the TTRPG sort of community and just started looking at all this stuff. It started with like basically like the shiny math rocks and me going, I can use my shiny math rocks and write a thing for the shiny math rocks. And that was like, that's how it happened, really. I was like, sometimes I think how does that happen? Yeah.
It's always the rocks. That's how they get you.
It's always that's how they get you.
That's how they get you. It's always the rocks, the shiny math.
It is. It's the shiny math rocks that got me.
Did you have any trouble like writing your first piece of content?
like as a person, I ask a lot of like I think that I'm a little annoying when it comes to just working with me in the sense that I will ask a lot of questions all the time to make sure I'm on the right track
Right.
because I don't want to, get to a point where say like I wrote like 1,000 words and I was like here, and then they're like, no. So that would just like hurt me immensely because it's like the engineer nerd that like values optimization and proficiency is like I have wasted valuable time of my own and this person's because they read it with 2 eyes, and there's that, and then like that stuff. But I think like I always enjoyed creative writing, so it was sort of like a hobby thing. But then working in the TTRPG community, the difficulty was something that was like, for example, I tried like Nano at one point, and that was difficult. But doing
NaNoWriMo?
yeah, that one. I tried to do that, and like I managed to do it, but writing novel sort of stuff as opposed to TTRPG stuff was so different. And I think at least the team, and like Mackenzie's amazing, and like they had written a part of Sino already, so we kind of had that to look at, and we had a lot of support and research involved. So with that, it made it a lot easier to actually write that sort of stuff. Because coming into the community, there was a lot of stuff I didn't actually really think about at first. Like making sure like, certain bits were represented this way and that way, and how things would read and how things won't read, and all those sorts of things that you need to take into consideration.
There's a specific format when you're writing TTRPG for sure, where you need to make sure that everything's laid out in a very specific manner so that it is easy to follow. It's very different from writing novels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm still learning. That's the hardest part for me, because it's very easy to just like write in a stream of consciousness, like here's a kick-ass story, when it's just like it's very difficult to like put those breaks in, but it's just like here's this part of the kick-ass story. What do you do?
Yeah, going from that, like, I am the person that's telling the story to I'm the person that's providing you with the things to tell your own story was, like, probably the difficult part. Like, that was the hard jump to do. Because it's, like, putting your brain somewhere else in a way, just because I've never done it that way before. So
you've got to take the ideas that are in your brain and into a format where someone else who has no idea what goes on inside your head and all the processes there can take what's in your head and translate it to what's in their head. If that makes sense?
Yeah, and like you don't want to also like railroad write them into a certain way. Like we did like it was a world build rather than like an adventure sort of thing, but you didn't want to just completely isolate it into a particular direction. And that was an interesting thing to do as well, because you're like, I'm writing a world, and people, like, if I read, like, TTRPG things, like, for example, like, I read Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd was one of the first game I ran/am running. And I was like, I disagree with these things, like, all of this stuff here. Someone is, like, it's like the idea of someone will do that with what you write, sort of thing. That's not the only direction, and it's sort of like thinking in that way.
Yeah. The other day, I was talking with a friend of mine who also writes for Magpie Games, and we're talking about it. I'm like, well, I don't want to really, like, she had written a game called Crossroads Carnival, and I'm like, well, I mean, she was talking about, like, is there a way to run this that isn't horror? Because it's kind of a horror-based game to begin with. Like, well, you can run it as more like a dark fantasy and with more character-driven things. But I don't really necessarily want to game-splain to the actual person who wrote this thing. And she just said, once it's out in the world, it's not ours anymore. You can do what you want with it.
You making game-splain a thing? Because I think that's the first time I've heard it.
That's the first time I've heard it, and I love it.
Yeah, it's like once it's out in the world, once what you've written is gone, it's people are going to do what they want with it. Like I once told someone that their GM was running this game wrong. Their GM was the designer of the game.
Oh no. Oh no.
But I mean, like I said, there's no wrong way to run a game. There's no right way to run a game.
So I've got a question, and the question might be founded on more of an opinion than anything, so it might be moot. But how do you all feel about Curse of Strahd really kind of being the adventure that is like the quintessential, like the adventure people start with? You know?
I actually
As in the first one to run or the first one to play?
It's a lot of people that will use it as their first game. I don't know. I haven't run.
Yeah, to me, it feels like it's the game that everybody has played. Like I'm in a Curse of Strahd game now. I've never completed Curse of Strahd, but this is my second time being in it, and I don't know. I don't really play a lot of pre-designed campaigns and stuff. And so like the first game that I've ever played that was pre-written was Lost Mines of Phandelver. I think that was
the first game I played too. Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Yeah, and I mean, and that was fun. I liked it. But it's just like everybody's like, no, you got to play Curse of Strahd, man. And I don't know. So I kind of feel like there should be something different that is
I agree. I think I liked Curse of Strahd, one because I have like severe werewolf bias, and I was like, don't
yes,
it's kind of like my response to Curse of Strahd. That's honestly why I picked it up, is because it was like a horror, and it was different from Lost Mines and all the other ones, which were like typical Faerun sort of thing. And I didn't want to do something that was like great world building, sure, but it kind of like, no offense there, but it kind of bored me a little bit, and I wanted something spooky and different. And like, because it was its little compact world, I could fiddle with it a little bit more in a way.
Right.
So that's why I liked it. Also because werewolves, but like, I liked it because of that. But I don't agree with it having to be, because it's like very, very, very old, right? It's
like, been around since like,
well, they just
forever.
released the revamped version of it, which is just a re-release. Right. I think they might have updated a few things. I don't really know for sure.
I think they made it like less racist and less like
misogynist. Well, I
know.
Yeah. Now 60% less racist. Hope free Curse of Strahd.
I don't think it's hard to do horror in 5e, Tom. I think I think you could do horror games well if you are a GM or a DM that knows how to pace your tension and how to if you make it like not a typical adventure, like run through a dungeon, like fight monsters, blah blah blah. If you go into like exploration and investigation portion of the system, you can definitely make it a little bit more creepy by just like taking regular everyday things and making them a little bit weird. That's how I feel about it, at least.
I think just based on that, I think fundamentally 5e is designed to make you feel like a hero. Especially a lot more so than a lot of the other editions, a lot of the other previous editions. Like there's no point in 5th edition where you're just fucked. Like there's some points in 3rd edition and 3rd edition down where you're just, if you're a caster, should have slotted your shit better. But like, that don't happen. That don't happen in 5th edition. And so I think that's why some people feel that you can't do horror in fifth edition because there's never a point where mechanically you're helpless. But I just think that's where it takes a little finagling as a DM. It's just like,
it's a different. I think it's sort of like, it's 5e. It's with just a different mood light in a way. I like whenever I run a Curse of Strahd game, I use music and I use narrative to introduce like creepy things, and like pace tension with like music in certain aspects and things like that. Like I did a sort of like 2-shot with someone with like a shade in the garden in a way, and they were like, that was horrifying, and I was like, good, that's what I wanted.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely need player buy-in from the get-go because 5e is meant to be heroic.
Yeah.
Temple of Elemental Evil. Yeah, that was my first for third edition / 3.5 was Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and I had a merciless dungeon master who ran that game like a meat grinder, and it was not. By the end of it, it was not fun. It was not fun.
We need to put FACO on the list of banned words because I hate it.
I don't know what that means.
To hit armor class 0. It's how armor class
Yeah.
used to work in second edition.
It's dumb. It's
You would
really
have
dumb.
to subtract in order to get to hit someone's armor class.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I do have a question that I want to start to get in the habit of asking all designers, which is when you play other pre-built campaigns. I mean, I've always wondered, is it like a chef going to another restaurant where you're just like, as a player I can appreciate this, but as a designer, shit needs more salt. This is not delicious.
I'm like an inherently judgmental person. So like I'll be super honest, I'm like an inherently judgmental person, and I try to look at things like objectively and like, in the scope of this thing, like what do I like about it and what don't I like about it. But like I'm one of those, I would be like a jerk chef, which is like, I'm sorry, but you like put salt on after you put the butter and I can taste it. I don't like it that way. It's sort of like the situation with myself as a person. Like as a designer, like, I'm like, oh, this is mad, this is sick. I love like I love the design of this. I love how they do these mechanics. I love the story. But you use that word instead of that word, and I hate it because of that. Because the rhythm is yucky in my brain. Is what happens with me.
I love that, because that's exactly how I imagine designers being playing other people's games. Or like I'm almost curious if that is less. Does that happen more if you're playing somebody's homebrew, or does it happen less because you're like, oh, it's a homebrew, they're just whipping it up as they go, like.
I'm very like live in the moment when it comes to homebrew and games and stuff like that. I'm just like I love everything sort of thing, like a puppy. But it's when I have to when I sit down and read something and I see like, you use this word instead of this, and I'm like, it sounds yucky. Like that sentence.
That's when your inner Gordon Ramsay comes out.
Yep. Chicken was dry.
Chicken is cold.
Finally, some good fucking game design.
Just go up to the other designer. What are you, an idiot sandwich?
But it's like character sheets instead of the bread.
Yeah. Oh no, I need that. I need to just.
We need that meme now.
Oh my gosh, I have character sheets. I have character sheets right here. It's okay, these are my Star Wars character sheets. But like my first ever TTRPG, guys, and then it's just you just need to Gordon Ramsay it, like
What are you?
I'm an idiot sandwich.
So is there how many different systems have you written for?
Oh, Sinaona is sort of my first ever foray. So 5e is the first like official in a way. I'm part of Omen's Rising, which is with John and everyone, and we've done a lot of playtests and stuff like that. So I will be writing and helping along with that when that becomes a thing. So there's that as well.
And is that also 5th edition?
No, it's its own game. So
it's its own. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be really exciting when that comes out, and I will just yell about it when all the information comes out. But yeah, so that's really cool.
It's like, what is it? Yeah. Homebrew and home property game design is the difference between a restaurant style meal and a potluck. Is that what that is, Alien?
Jesus.
Wow.
God damn.
I mean, it's still good food.
Just dunking on homebrew.
It's still good food, I guess.
I guess you're more forgiving at a potluck, though. That's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah, that's fair. But then someone brings potato salad with raisins in it.
Oh, that's strange.
Those are like the OSR people.
So my next question is going to be, is it more fun to write for a system that everybody knows, or is it more fun to write for like a new system that like you're getting to view before it's a thing?
I think, well, I do like both of them. I like the new system because there is a challenge to it, and I think that the challenge is like the welcoming thing when it comes to writing for me. For a new system, for an old system, sort of like 5e, the issue that I have with writing for 5e and writing 5e stuff is because of all the problems that are like gently duct tape around like 5e stuff. And like, like if it weren't for that stuff, like it's, you know, when you play tabletop games and when you play 5e, you're playing with your friends and that's the thing that you're focusing on, which is great and stuff like that. But it's also kind of hard to ignore the really bad stuff. And it's when a system has that stuff associated, that's probably, I think, the biggest struggle. I feel like it's in a way easier to write for 5e because there's a lot to point of reference and there's all that sort of stuff. And the challenging aspect would be, I'd like something a little bit different. I'd like to do something a little different, but also I'd like to do this and also recognize that I'm doing this because I want things to be better rather than I want to do this because I want to be buddies with,
Yeah, Watsy and their bullshit.
Yeah. Goddamn.
Don't worry.
Watsy.
I just every time I like come up with the idea, I'm just like, why? Oh, anyway.
Why does it have to be?
I agree.
I mean, you'd start courting Monty Cook and start writing things for Cypher.
Yeah, I mean, I took to starting to write for Magpie and their Urban Shadows game. And like right when I started that, the announcement for Urban Shadows 2 came out, so that's great for me. My timing is perfect.
It probably won't change the system all that much in terms of your writing. You should be fine.
I certainly hope so, or else I'm fucked again.
It'll be fine. Don't worry about too much.
Fucked twice.
For a good point of reference, I would look at Monster Hearts 1 versus Monster Hearts 2. It's more like a gradual update than like a full rehash. You should be okay.
I mean,
especially if you're writing stories.
I'd expect that I should be fine. I'm just being a bitch. Coming in late, have you written for any Call of Cthulhu or well-known horror-based games yet? No.
I have not either. I've read a couple of them because I was going to write a horror thing a while back, and I still probably am. But horror is very fascinating for me, and I want to write a horror thing because I want to write something creepy. But yeah, that'll be fun.
How come it's how come it's fascinating? Like what's your key in the horror?
I think I love horror because I watched it when I was not allowed to, when I was a wee little like 4-year-old child, and they were like, "Don't watch this, it's scary." And I watched it, and I was like, "Vampires are horrifying, and I will never sleep properly ever again." That's probably it. And then I was like, "I love werewolves," but then like that's just like the thing for me. Along a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to Angela, and she's like, "What is your favorite monster?" I was like, "Oh my god, I want to say werewolves, but everyone knows it's werewolves, but I should say something different." But I just like the aspects of it. Like it's just because it's different and it's twisty, and I like the different and twistiness of it, and sort of the there is a better ability to associate it with like certain bits and bobs of music, and then also like creating those like narratives and things like that where you feel the tension, and like
Yeah.
you get sunk into it, sort of thing. And I think the immersion is like so much more, for me at least, it's like exciting in a way. I like that part of it. I just played 10 Candles like a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and I was like, "This is amazing. This is
I
horrifying."
really want to do a stream of 10 candles, but I need to figure out how to actually do it in such a way that the candles, like, I'm in an apartment, so it's kind of like, how do I do this in a way that I can make sure the candles are safe and not going to burn my apartment to the ground?
Don't use magnesium.
Don't use magnesium. It'll burn real bright.
It'll be real bright, and that will be your primary issue.
I do have to agree though. I love horror because it's a lot more focused. Like if you're just writing a general fantasy script, I feel like you're going for quite a few different emotions all at once. Mm-hmm. But with horror, it's just like I am trying to make everybody leave here with dirty undergarments. Like everybody's got to shit themselves. If nobody shits themselves, then I lose.
Yeah, I'm gonna run a horror-based cipher system game on this channel next Saturday, from like after midnight for me until like 2 or 3 in the morning, 3 or so in the morning. So
nice.
I've got the framework for it from a previous adventure, but I'm just gonna dial up the creep. The previous adventure had a happy ending. I don't know if this one's gonna. We'll see how she goes.
Hashtag no magnesium. We do have a couple of questions from the audience. AJ, whose kid is asking, Wasa, what was a favorite character moment you've had from any character that you've played?
Any favorite moment that I have had? My first ever character was a half-elven rogue in my first ever D&D campaign, and he really wanted a particular book, but he couldn't get it because there was a particularly angry ghost man, and he only has his wee little daggers, which don't do anything to the angry ghost man. And it was one of those situations where it's like, I want that book. I can't get that book. I have friends who can deal with this situation. And it was just a very overcomplicated way of getting the book, which was like, we should plan a heist. Have you guys ever done a heist before? I'm going to show you how to do a heist. And it was kind of like that. I can't remember, like, it was like that, like, is it Benny Hill music or something?
Oh, yeah.
Like I can't remember. It was that. It was Yakety Sax. That's what happened instead. It was like, this is the heist. It's super serious, and everyone kind of like got into it, but from like a very like, innocent way of, oh my god, hi sort of thing, like, oh my god, look at me, I'm like Ocean's 11 sort of thing, but not really. And it was like and it was just like run, just run, just run. And it was like, we need to get the book. It's like, just grab the box of, like, just grab the chest with all the books and we'll sort it out later. So we're just running through a cave with this giant chest of books, and it's just like this ghost thing chasing us. And then like it's sort of like a little mini beholder sort of thing came over, and it was like, I just like what you're doing sort of thing, because it was like he was a bit of a sir and he did not like the ghost man either. So it was like that. And then it was just, we need to stay and watch this showdown happen because something is happening. It is like Ghost Man versus Tiny Beholder Man, and I'm voting for Steve the Beholder.
Steve.
And that was, yeah, we called him Steve the Beholder. Or Steven. He preferred Steven.
I'm just imagining this prim, proper beholder with a bow tie named Steven.
Yeah, no, that was him. That was Steven. I love Steven. But yeah, that was my favorite thing that happened was that. Because it was like, brought everyone in the party together for something super ridiculous. And it was like, why did you get the book? What's so important about it? Oh, it's pretty. I just thought it was nice.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh! I was thinking it's like some kind of powerful spell book or something. Wow, okay.
No, it just had a really nice cover. The cover was pretty.
Artisty check. Can we get some fan art of Steven the Beholder?
Steven the Beholder, please.
So we had another question from chat. What tools would you use in moderating? Example: psychological horror, psychological fear, props, music, backstory.
Well, in terms of sort of like safety tools, I'm imagining that's what that means. I will usually have that like a one-on-one conversation with people to see what they're okay with and things like that. And the people that I play with, I'm quite close to. And then usually if I'm trying certain things, I'll be like, by the way, these are certain themes that are going to happen in the game. What's good and what's bad for you. I just need to know everyone's limitations and things like that. The music that I play is background music, and while there is sort of like in certain aspects, in certain parts, the climb up into and like a crescendo sort of effect and things like that, I do keep it low, just because I know that if it gets too loud, it really like stresses out individuals potentially. I haven't really used any props or anything like that, and in terms of backstory, if people have really dark backstories or it's something particularly dark, I will spend a fair amount of time with them about it, and a lot of post-game chats, like not just right after the game, but after the game, like right after, the next day, the next week, before game, and things like that. So I consistently check over my players to see what they want, and it's just a matter of me communicating with people. And if we haven't, because safety tools is something that was introduced to me after I was running like Curse of Strahd things. So the way that we've done it, because I offered like, do you guys want to do this sort of safety tool and things like that? They were like, it's fine, these are the only things, and you know, if it's not okay, we're just gonna be like, stop. And I'll be like, okay, cool. That sort of thing.
Exactly. It's always good to check in with your players to make sure that they're all right and that they're enjoying themselves.
It's
that is awesome.
Not even when it's like a dark or scary thing. Like even if it's just like, you know, like other situations
intense
that might have
like,
different stresses. Yeah.
Or sometimes and then sometimes people will have things happening in games when they don't even know that it's a trigger. And it's
exactly
always good to check in with that.
Exactly that.
And I feel like there's a lot of ways to amp up the horror without being like vicious, malicious, or mean about it. One of the tools that I used when I did some scarier stuff as a GM was I would just keep death saves private, and that alone adds a level of tension that is ridiculous. Because if somebody drops, they make the roll and tell
Hi, TPK
me,
Roleplay.
"Thank you, TVK," and we would just describe what this person on the ground looks like in a neutral kind of way, so nobody's metagaming like we need to get over there. And when you do that, it's very interesting to watch how people react to danger because nobody knows any longer. So if you just take a little time to be creative, you don't have to scar your players.
Yeah, you really don't have to. It's sort of like, you don't need to have in-depth like torture scenes or horror scenes to really like, make people like absolutely horrified or anything like that. You can just gloss over things and just like explain things that don't necessarily involve like, the microscopic attention that no one wants to actually have.
Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in, everyone from TPK Roleplay. Thank you so much for that raid. Hi, Luca Luck. Hi, Last HP Hero. Hi, Dr. Tyrant. Hi, Kohlrabi. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. We're talking kind of horror games, I guess, today a little bit. We kind of veered into that situation. I guess it is the spooky season.
Yeah.
It is the scary season.
It is.
What was it? Backstory, like cult? There's another one.
There was one other
Rowan
question,
Rowan wanted to know if there were any systems that you wanted to play on stream but haven't had the chance to yet. Or any. Let's just broaden that to any games you want to play on. Doesn't necessarily have to be streamed.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed when it does come to the stream stuff. I think that I want to play a Bolt game. And a couple of the games from the folks in RPG Southeast Asia, Pam stuff and the Dovetailers stuff and things like that. The Bolt, because it just, the way that I backed to the Kickstarter and they were like, oh, it's like, if you want to be a badass, you can be a badass, and there's like a chaos dice. And I was like, that sounds amazing. That sounds super fun. So I really want to check that out.
And not for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Now, if you play your Bolt RPG, you can be a badass with a gun hammer. You're welcome. That's all I'm gonna say.
Look, I think that was an important interjection that I think is very valuable to the conversation. Did you have the noise?
Yeah, there was. I heard the boom.
I didn't hear it.
I fixed it.
Okay,
well, I'll fix it one more time. Gun hammer. There it is.
That's amazing. So definitely Bolt. A lot of the stuff from RPG Southeast Asia, they have a lot of Filipino games that are really interesting to me because coming from Sinauna, a lot of those games have a little bit of like the history and culture that moving to Australia, I didn't necessarily have a lot of exposure to, particularly because of how shit happens when you move from Philippines to Australia and need to learn the language and adapt to very Western things and such. But yeah, I would really like those sorts of games. I guess, yeah. Those are the ones that
it does help you feel connected to a culture that you might feel slightly alienated from.
Exactly that. And I think it's really, I think it's a really nice thing that I think I got from the Sinauna. Just, the understanding, the sort of feeling of being that little bit more connected to it and being more part of essentially that culture, that history, that that's where I'm from, that's where I will always be from kind of vibe and all that sort of stuff. So those are probably the games that I'd be most interested in playing at from the top of my head. I can't quite think of any at the moment, but it's all groovy, guys. I'll probably say something else like, I'll wake up tomorrow or late. What's the time? I'll wake up later and I'll just be like, this is the game that I was meant to talk about. I would also really like to play another Star Wars game because I thought that was fun. And I really enjoyed playing an Alien.
Alien's so fun. I want to play that game.
I love
I
it.
didn't even know there was an Alien game,
There's
but
an
now,
Alien TTRPG.
now all I want is to play it. Can I be a xenomorph?
That's all I need to know.
Can we just mix it with other TTRPGs? Can I be a barbarian xenomorph?
with a gun hammer?
With a gun hammer.
All right. So I think
I need fan art of a barbarian xenomorph with a gun hammer.
Just demanding things from chat now. Just demanding.
We have Stephen the Beholder and the Paladin with a gun hammer.
The Xenomorph Paladin with the gun hammer.
Yeah. The Gordon Ramsay character sheet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idiot sandwich.
I think we've been at this for about an hour and a half. We're going to take a break. I know that the stream is on a little bit of a delay right now. I've been getting notifications from Jamie through my phone because he's in the other room. So we're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break. I'm actually going to stop the stream and restart it at the break. So that way everyone can be caught up and we'll be back. Unfortunately, me accidentally opening Photoshop.
Sorry, I just thought gun hammer real loud.
Gunhammer.
Gunhammer.
So we're going to take a 10-minute break. I'm going to stop the stream. I'm going to restart the stream. And then we will be back with more of this. But yeah,
Okay.
we will see you all in just a little bit.
See you in just a bit.